If I could call tonight's meeting to order, Kathleen Allen.
Here.
Tom Chapa.
Here.
Brian Chetney.
Here.
Heather Del Conte.
Here.
Brandon Legault.
Here.
Linda Serino.
Here.
Samuel Tripp.
Here.
And Ruma Kawaja. Here. If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the floor to the public. I would just like to remind everyone, there is a 3-minute limit to each person, and the board will not converse with the speakers at this time. They'll either get back to you in writing.
Or we'll take a little break potentially after everyone has had a chance to speak, in case there's anybody who needs to approach a speaker and ask a question.
Okay. So when I call your name, if you would come up and just state your address, please. Nathan Emmons.
Hi, Nathan Emmons. I'm with from 70 West Bridge Street here with my wife and two of my children. I'm a father of 4 children, actually. One that recently graduated from Oswego High School and is off to college now. I have a senior in Oswego High School this year. And then I have my 2 children here. One that would have been in 6th grade this year, and the other one that would have been in 3rd grade. I say the words would have because on June 13th, 2019, Governor Cuomo signed into law the repeal of the religious exemption to vaccines. This repeal was predicated under the guise of several measles cases that broke out in Rockland County, New York. It should be noted that the spread of the measles in Rockland County was not as a result of a religious exemption to a school, but as a result of an adult who traveled to the Ukraine, a Jewish member of the community who contracted measles while he was there, and brought those measles back to Rockland County. It is also fair to note that the CDC protocols regarding whether the spread of the measles vaccine was actually, or of the measles was actually a result of the wild measles that was contracted, or the actual vaccine itself was never verified, nor were proper protocols in place by New York State to actually contain the outbreak of the measles in Rockland County. Although it is also interesting to note that the measles outbreak that took place in Rockland County was contained only to Rockland County. This repeal applies to all schools in New York State, public, private, parochial, big, small, doesn't matter. Amish communities all have to abide by this repeal of exemption. It was immediately put into place affecting those that were attending summer school, daycare in July. So passed on June 13th, immediately went into effect. And then also students that are attending this September. Under the repeal, all children K through 12 and below of the age of 18 are required to have all vaccinations required by New York State to attend school. Furthermore, all children must have the first of all series of vaccines within the first 14 days of school and have documentation within the first 30 days of school demonstrating a schedule of compliance for all remaining vaccinations and boosters to be completed by June 30th, 2020. All children are allowed to attend school on the first day, regardless of their vaccination status. That is the law. They have 14 days to be able to submit to the school district that they have their first series in effect. This repeal of the exemption was made literally in the 11th hour of this last legislative session after a tie vote in the Senate Health Committee was overturned, as a senator actually changed his vote to allow the vote to move forward to the full Senate. That same day, the Senate and the Assembly both voted to move the repeal forward after zero input from the public, from parents, from school administrators. No public hearing was allowed on this change law. This repeal left 26,000 children statewide, 88 families in this county alone, in immediate limbo, unsure of their repeal, what the repeal truly meant, how it would be applied, regulated, and so on. With only days to literally make decisions, the state was sending a very clear message to those families. Comply, homeschool, or leave the state. This extremely short time frame does not give any of the 26,000 families ample time to make a safe choice on how to provide education for their children. As it stands, families are being forced to make life-impacting decisions under duress. In comparison, when California passed a similar repeal, it allowed 3 to 8 years for students to get vaccinated. California also allowed students with EIPs and 504 plans to maintain their religious exemption. However, even though the state was sending that clear message, what was completely unclear was how the school districts were to implement the repeal. The state has subsequently set up 2 sets of guidelines. One is recent of August 16th, just a matter of a couple of weeks ago, none of which have provided enough information or guidance for school administrators to make the consistent decisions across the state as to how to handle students that formerly had the religious exemptions. No educators, again, were consulted. No direction was really given to educators on how to service the affected children. The last minute nature of this on June 13th, and students were trying to go to summer school at July 1st, and oh, by the way, you got to get your kids fully vaccinated now. Some folks that are sending kids to school with 0 vaccinations. It has been reported that school districts are communicating radically different interpretations of the law of occurrence, which shows that the very little has been done to educate the schools, an inevitable outcome that, given the punitive, brief amount of time to parents and the schools to prepare. For children with EIPs, this repeal has become even more of a nightmare, as both families and school districts scramble to understand what services they are to provide, by whom, and to where. Many schools are now saying that the staff cannot provide home services to IEP kids because of their fear of infection from unvaccinated kids. I believe this is a violation of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 under the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights Interpretation. In addition, the state has recently passed, within just the past couple of weeks, amended regulations related to medical exemptions for students.
Mr. Emerson, we're at 4 minutes, so if you want to just.
I have that page to go, can I?
If you could,
Yep.
like the main points, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Main point, children have been able to attend schools in New York State since the 1950s under the religious exemption, the 1950s. There hasn't necessarily been an issue. I don't believe there actually has been an issue in the city of Oswego School District. What I'm asking this board to do tonight, and new superintendent, is to send a letter to the Board of Regents. They meet on September 7th, and ask them to delay the implementation of the repeal. There has not been enough time. 2.5 months for families is not enough time to give them in order to make the proper decisions for their families to come. Last point, I have 2 copies of letters from superintendents, one from East Islip, and the other one from the Baldwinville School District, who have sent very similar letters. And I also have a packet of information, if you would like it, related to the repeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you is it possible to leave a copy of your speech in case?
Yep.
So you can get through the whole thing and then.
Absolutely. So that's my words.
I can take them and hand them out.
This is the letter, those are the letters, and that's the packet of information. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Next on the list is Holly Stone. Holly?
Yes, and was just confused, I thought it was a sign-in sheet, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I think all 3 of
I'll
us
take that for you.
So we're not speaking, so thank you so much.
Next is John and Anna Metaliski. Did I say that right?
That's
Oh, okay.
I'll take 2 or 3 minutes. I can't do that.
How about Sarah Van Patten? Okay, come on up, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Van Patten. My address is 245 West 6th Street, Springfield, New York. And I'm here to talk about the same types of things that Nathan did just a minute ago. While I'm not directly affected as a current homeschooler for the past year, I am deeply concerned that this affects our civil liberties as well as discrimination against constitutional rights in New York State, where we have the freedom of religion forever as part of the Constitution. And I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. The religious exemption removal has displaced 26,000 school-aged kids in New York. This past month in August, our Governor Cuomo signed an anti-discrimination law that includes like bullying against kids and other reasons for all various reasons, including religious reasons. And I feel like this is a backward step because he should have done this before, and then as a deterrent to prevent children from being bullied, that includes religion, sexual orientation, and more. Many of these kids that have been removed have IEPs, are special education kids, physical, mental handicaps, and special learning needs as well. Where they couldn't get a medical exemption, they used the religious exemption because it is extremely hard to get a medical exemption in your state for vaccinations. So now parents have to scramble. Some have quit jobs. Some have had a problem with finding childcare because it's so rushed for kids who were displaced. Some are selling homes to leave New York State. The ramifications if parents do choose to vaccinate their kids could be irreversible, especially with families who have injury from prior vaccinations. So my questions are, you don't have to answer them right now. What are we going to do? What are you all going to do about the families who are affected, especially the kids with like IEPs, special needs? Will they be able to stay on? And I know some of these will probably be answered, and I know some may or may not be answered tonight, but there are some kids who are in like extracurricular activities who are now being displaced. I don't know exactly all the rules about that, but how is that affecting kids who've been in school who now can't be in these groups because of previous laws and reasons? And how many of you would be willing to talk to the New York State Regents Board members in supporting these families' rights to public education in New York State? Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, good job.
Move on to the next agenda item.
Did anybody from the board want to take a break to do any follow-up, or who would like to? Okay, so we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Okay.